like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Well, we'll just wait here for a while, see what happens.
Sweet, innocent Jesus.
You shouldn't have buried me. I'm not dead.
Here's Johnny. The son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? The son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones. You only moved the headstones.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Groovy.
Welcome back, everybody, to a very special edition of Scripts and Screams. I'm your host, Christopher Carter, and tonight I have one of my very good friends with me tonight, acting buddy, writing buddy, Nathan Miller. Nate, say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going? Really happy to be here. I'm actually really excited about this. I got back into Walking Dead because of my dog. He loves the show. Don't understand. He loves it. He doesn't freak out against the zombies until he sees other people fighting the zombies. Then he wants to help. So
Yeah.
Caught up, and I was excited to do this. Chris, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. And actually, I gotta be honest. I kind of fell off Walking Dead too, and then through our gaming. By the way, we're big Warzone people.
Yeah, we are.
Call of Duty, PS4, Xbox. Look for us.
They're coming out in another month.
I know, man. And then we're gonna be doing our zombies thing. So it's a good transition. Walking Dead finale going into October and everything happening, and then November when everybody's kind of like, oh, I miss zombies, I miss horror. Then bam, zombies on Call of Duty. It's gonna be great. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Dude, but you and I, honestly, this kind of filling in everybody that's listening and watching, you and I have been doing films for a while now. I mean, I've known Nate, 2014 maybe? I think we were doing Overwatch.
Yeah, man, it's been about almost 7 years.
Nate was in one of my films that, ironically enough, was a zombie film. And it's funny, Nate is a betrothed, he's a married man. And I was there there the night after your date, and we were filming the next day. And I remember you telling me, oh, I had a date last night with this girl. And just, it's funny how that works out, because now, she's your wife now. And I think is really cool, man. And that's super cool.
What's even cooler is that you were at my wedding. You stood up with me. You were
right.
We went to Vegas together, dude.
Dude, I know. Before everything, right? When going to Vegas was an actual thing, not just now how this shit works.
The locusts coming on the walk,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we've been watching Walking Dead, man, for a while now, and I think that I'll be honest, I fell off it for a while. Have you been kind of watching from the beginning? I know that we were big in the beginning, and I guess I meant to say, did you ever fall off and then come back into it?
I watched the premiere with a bunch of friends and stuff when it first came out.
Yeah.
And watching Rick walk down that empty highway on the horse and stuff.
Right.
And, I've been a huge fan of Walking Dead. I read the comics as well,
Mhm.
and I just finished the last one too. And I've been a huge fan of Walking Dead. I fell off when they decided to take Andrew Lincoln off Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on, man. Okay, I was already on the fence when they took off Carl.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I mean, I understand there's some writing differences and scheduling and people, and sometimes the actors are like, you know what, maybe I want to do something else or do something different.
Right.
It wasn't really the case with I can't remember his name that played Carl Grimes. He bought a house in Atlanta as a kid. He's like, I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to be a part of it. I feel like this is going to be a thing. I mean, Carl's in throughout the whole comic series. He until the very end. He's an adult. And he bought a house, and all of a sudden, like 3 weeks later, they're like, "Yo, we're gonna write you off the show."
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Yeah, that was weird. I know, and for people that don't know the comics, I mean, it's funny. You think it's Rick's story, but it's not. It's Carl's story, because Carl's the one who lives at the end, and we don't know that until like the very last issue, which, was a big shock to people, because the Walking Dead has such a rabid fan base, and it's such a loyal fan base too, right?
Daryl dies, we riot. I mean,
yeah,
that's been since what, second season, third season?
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah, and that's funny too, because you bring up a good point. Daryl wasn't even in the comics. Again, for people who don't know, Daryl's not in the comics.
Nope.
And
he became a fan favorite. He was going to be written out at the end of season 1. He was supposed to die at the campsite.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's the other thing. When you think about it, I mean, him and I believe Melissa McBride are the two highest paid actors on Walking Dead currently. And, isn't that weird? Like, isn't that crazy? And Norman Reedus, his character just stuck around and now he's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of the face of the show.
Dude, spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched the finale, but they got their own show coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to, like, how they've been, like, alluding to the fact they're going to New Mexico and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Actually going to happen. Apparently, they're going to leave The Walking Dead because The Walking Dead ends next season.
Next year, yeah.
And they're getting their own show, which I'm like, okay, cool. I started watching Fear the Walking Dead, and then the deaths and the character development started going downhill. And then I picked up again when Morgan jumped on that Fear the Walking Dead show, and that took off. That was amazing. I was like, okay, cool. We're back to the grassroots of what Walking Dead was like, the characters and the backstories and stuff like that too. Fear the Walking Dead is right now one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. For me, I'm the same way. Like, honestly, I felt like the production value for Fear the Walking Dead kind of superseded The Walking Dead really quickly. The first couple of seasons, I was in and out of it. But no, I absolutely agree. I think that I love following Alicia's story. I think that her story is great. Morgan's story is great. The fact that they brought Dwight back over, it's just more. For me, it's more interesting.
Go ahead.
No. I'm just agreeing with what you're saying. I absolutely agree with about Fear the Walking Dead.
One of the things I think I liked about Fear the Walking Dead more so than Walking Dead. I mean, Walking Dead sometimes brings other characters back and stuff like that too, like the governor's story and everything like that too, where it shows there might be a redemption arc. But Fear the Walking Dead is actually, in my opinion, a redemption story for every single character.
Yes.
Every single character has done something that they want to redeem themselves for, or they're doing something either to better themselves or help other people, which is something I feel like The Walking Dead kind of lost a little bit on the way itself with all these like filler stuff. Like, I was getting bored when every single episode in The Walking Dead was with either Rick Grimes doing a freaking speech for 4 minutes or
monologuing,
doing a monologue. I'm like, for one, as an actor, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Just memorize all of that. It just, I just lost interest with it as it was going on. But I'm glad I picked it up again. I like the direction. I like the writing. I like the fact that there's more melee combat instead of just guns and stuff.
Yeah.
I get the cool thing with getting the suppressors and suppressed weapons and stuff like that too, but I'm like, nah, that gun's not really killing walkers unless I'm surrounded. It's more about protecting myself. I'm going to use either an axe or like one of those SAS spades that's got the axe, the shovel on it, something like that. I'd rather use that to kill a walker when it's quiet. I'm not wasting ammo. Right.
It's more creative and it's real in that sense too. Like, I mean, as real as you can put yourself into that kind of zombie scape type of headspace where, and I think that's what makes it interesting, because you have these creative melee weapons. I always said that if that ever happened, I'm going to Home Depot. Like, Home Depot, you could outfit an army in Home Depot with their
on Saturday, and you can go there. Good idea.
Yeah, man, I know. But so, I want to talk about the finale tonight, but before I do that,
yes, absolutely.
we talked, we had the Whisper War, that arc. And so, the big thing for Walking Dead for me that I had an issue with was it was rinse and repeat for a while. It was, we get comfortable, something upsets that, whether it's at the prison by the governor, or whether it's, at Hilltop or in Alexandria by the Whispers. It just feels like it was rinse and repeat. And I know that you're a big Sons of Anarchy fan, and Kurt Sutter, the showrunner, he had, I think it was two seasons ago, he said that The Walking Dead doesn't have a sustainable storyline to keep people interested, because it really is rinse and repeat. So looking back, because we are finishing up Walking Dead next year, I know we're going to have New World Order. They introduced that at the very end, spoiler alert. But when you have, that's not my favorite either. Whispers, well, we'll get to it, but of all the story arcs, like the big bads, whether it's the Whispers, whether you think that maybe the big bad, the great big bad's going to be with the New World Order, or was it with the governor? What was your favorite out of the 9 seasons, I think, that have run for Walking Dead now?
What was my favorite antagonist?
Exactly.
Okay. I loved the Whispers in the comics.
Right.
Okay? I think the actress that they picked to play Alpha was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't as scary as the one in the comics. Because in the comics, spoiler alert for everybody, Ezekiel is the one that gets his head put on the stake, not the kid or anything like that.
Right.
And that was a huge blow because the kingdom was so up and thriving. They weren't like downbeaten or downtrodden yet. And when Ezekiel died, it was like, oh, that's gone.
Yeah.
You know, part of that lifestyle is gone. You know me, when Shiva died in the comics and in the show, I hated how they portrayed it in the
That's
show.
heartbreaking.
I'm
Yeah.
done. I turned it off. I was like, I'm done. This is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's 2 zombies. You could have fucking no.
Yeah.
But my favorite, to get back to your question, in the show, the cannibals were my favorite because it was leading up to this huge possibility of finding a place that is safe.
Right. Sanctuary.
That was it. Sanctuary.
Yeah.
That climax in the church between him and Rick, Andrew Lincoln's just eyes when he's looking at him. And actually, in an interview, he actually did hit the guy with the machete.
I didn't know that. Did he really?
Yeah, he did. He was like, Andrew Lincoln hurt me, but it was fun. All in good time. It was great. We got it done in like two takes. It was amazing. He was just in the moment.
Yeah.
That climax, that whole up right there was probably my favorite. That was my favorite thing. It was not as long-winded as the governor's thing. Yeah. It wasn't as long-winded as the Sanctuary that they made it over like 2.5 seasons with Negan. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love Negan. Morgan's like my favorite actor. I hope to see him again in Supernatural at the end, since that's the next season that's ending.
They said it's coming back for that. At least 1 or 2 episodes. They said he's coming back for that.
Yes, I love him.
Yeah.
He's amazing as Negan. I love Negan, and I wanted more of a fight between him and Beta, like in the comics, because they actually do get out for a good couple pages. And stuff. I
wrote that down as a note. I wrote, I said exactly. I love that. And again, we'll get to that part. But like, I love when he says, I think he says, "Hey, shithead," and then and then I'm like, it's that moment. Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And I thought that was so good. But you're right. He knocks him over. And then Daryl comes out, saves the day, and then he gets pulled over. But
Daryl, it should have been Negan. Honestly,
yeah, I think so.
Daryl had his fight with him in the building. That was a great fight. I love that. It should have been Negan and him.
Yeah,
that was a disappointing thing because Beta just went down like within.
Yeah, and that
he took knives. He took an axe. He took a freaking knife to the chest. He'd been stabbed and cut and stuff like that too. He's a big guy.
Yeah,
you know, I met that actor. He's awesome. As Opie from Sons of Anarchy too.
Yeah.
He fought so much harder then. I don't know if it was because of him losing his mind with all the whispers and the walkers talking to him or something like that. I just felt like it was really short, in my opinion. For a finale, there was really no cliffhanger. The only thing that they had to really bank on as a cliffhanger, or not really a cliffhanger, but a big release, was Maggie showing up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the Sanctuary attack was great. The governor just came back too much. They didn't really make him as vicious as he was in the comics. In the comics, they probably could have put it in. Yeah, he's so different in the comics than he is in the series. He's worse than Negan ever was in the comics.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They and they've had interesting bads too. Like I always thought, for me, the governor. And it's funny to talk about that. Just touch on the red machete.
I always loved the governor.
I have always loved the governor. I think that like, of all the people that I think I can identify with, I think that the governor's motives and motivation, I think, to me, resonate the most. I think that if you manage to carve out your part of this world in the Zombiescape, then you would do anything to protect that, even, and I kind of think that that's kind of an overused trope.
You're starting to sound like a different character.
Well, I feel like that's kind of an overused trope where it's like I know, right? Where everybody's kind of like out for their own, and I just kind of feel like that's how a lot of The Walking Dead gets its rinse and repeat, because The Saviors was very similar to that. It was just wasn't as well organized, I think. As far as the governor, in terms of like building a new civilization. The Saviors were just really kind of based on brutality, I think, and so for me, the governor, that type of mindset. Outside of keeping your daughter, in the basement, I think that kind of is when, I think at that point is when it kind of.
Chris doesn't actually have an undead daughter.
That's right. We don't keep her in the basement. We keep her in the backyard. But I think that the governor to me was probably my favorite, and I love Jeffrey D. Morgan as Negan, and I hate the fact that a lot of people jumped ship when Glenn died. right? So
like honestly, I understand it was brutal, but as a fan of the show, and if you knew about Negan, he was everywhere when it was coming
Yeah.
out. Who he was playing, why he had the mustache still instead of a clean shaven face. 'Cause
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne in Batman vs Superman opposite Maggie.
I know, right? Yeah.
That was hilarious. That was a great little irony piece. But if you knew the show, if you knew the comics, and you knew where this was going, it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise. I think the biggest surprise was that there were 2 deaths instead of just him.
Right.
But maybe threw people over the edge. But I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Don't watch the show. Don't bash the show because they're staying true for once to the actual storyline and
Yeah.
beaten to death. Or maybe it's the fact that they kind of alluded too much to Glenn dying so much, and that's why they had to throw Abraham getting killed too.
Hmm.
Remember when the walkers were on top of him and he fell off the dumpster and stuff
And he
like
went
that?
underneath the dump. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
like 3 episodes prior to it, it wasn't that much. But I have a curious question for you. What was the most dissatisfying death over the course of 10 seasons that happened for you?
It was. That is an excellent question, first of all, and I now it's.
I have notes myself, sir. I'm bored.
Yeah, the most. I don't like the way that they treat. And speaking of the governor, Al Herschel kind of died. I don't like that one. I don't necessarily like the way. I can't think of her name right now. She was.
Character name or actor name?
Well, either right now. She's on Star Trek. That's why she left.
Okay, yeah. Sasha in the
Yes,
top.
thank you. Yes, I didn't like the way she kind of went out either, because I mean she kind of lost it because I think it was I forget what character it was at the time because it's been so long. She was already kind of on her way out, and then she got that role, and I think she left. And I don't like the way they treat it. It felt rushed. It felt rushed to me because
Really? Okay.
for me it did.
I'm not saying this is the most dissatisfying death for me, but I can see your opinion on that. I also saw it as the only way she felt that she could get back at Negan.
Right.
She was kind of on the way out. She didn't really have anybody. She was only about killing walkers or getting to Negan.
Yeah.
And she also lost her brother, like what, 3rd episode before they got to Alexandria.
I think it was that. Yeah.
Times. Tyrone. No, not Tito.
Tyrese.
There's too many T's.
Yeah, and I liked him as a character too. But so I want. Okay, so let me throw it back your way. What's yours? What's your least satisfying death in TWD?
Carl.
Kind of came out of nowhere, right?
100%. That was just not foreseen. He saved somebody that died this season as well.
Yeah, Sadiq.
I was like, there's something off with this medic that's your buddy.
Yeah.
You know, I know that the Whisperers kind of infiltrated, and that's one of the things that the comics didn't really. They did the same thing where it's like you don't know where they're at. That was the biggest. That was really and honestly the biggest shock value to the comic during the Whisper War. So you didn't know where they were.
Yeah.
Or they could have taken the mask off and be regular people coming and infiltrating. That's why they were the scariest people. And I thought this seemed rushed with them. It wasn't even a full season, honestly, like season 10. Like Rick died halfway through the season, right? Of season 10?
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole season given to them, which maybe they were trying not to repeat the tropes of having a full 3 seasons like they did with Sanctuary, you know?
Right.
Negan not getting it away, Sanctuary going down, him building it up someplace else. All of a sudden, there's other outposts that they have no idea where they're at.
Yeah. I felt cheated on that one too.
I'm sure you want to get back to the episode.
Well, no, kind of, but I also want to kind of shoot the shit regarding The Walking Dead, because to me the biggest part about what happened this year in Walking Dead isn't so much that Maggie's back or that we moved on past the Whisper War, is the fact that next year is going to be the last year of Walking Dead, and that's almost. I think it's almost a decade with Walking Dead in these characters. Yeah. And, because for a while, I mean, that was it. What they managed to do is they made a horror series. Everybody in the world knew about it, right? I mean, I know we talk about Game of Thrones. We're big Game of Thrones fans, minus the last season.
It was the first Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
Right I think it even came out before Breaking Bad did. It was after Dexter, which, like, if we talk about the main TV shows that were, that everybody was talking about before trending was a thing, like Dexter, Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, and continued.
And Mad Men too. Like AMC for a while had everything. So you're looking at Mad Men, Walking Dead, and Breaking Bad. So at that point in time, I mean, that was the network to kind of be on. So and the fact that it became such a cultural phenomenon, I mean, everybody knows about Walking Dead. I mean, how people that were born, if you were born in 2010, you know about Walking Dead. I mean, it's one of those things that just kind of really interwove itself with society. And I think that's really something. And for me to know that,
how about the end of the finale with Negan? Like, who died?
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
Way to wait. Like, there was like people that were like analyzing the camera panels.
Yeah.
People that had like a graph of where he went to.
Yeah.
And like what could have ended it on and stuff like that. If he was going through a certain pattern or framework or something like that. It's crazy. And I love the fact that this is a show that unifies a lot of people.
That's true.
You know, if you think about where it started from, like if you think about it, who's the last two? Like remember like how they had that picture once they went to Alexandria, it was like grayed out every single time from the prison on who was left.
Yeah.
So to speak. And really there's Judith because she was a baby at the prison, I guess. But the only two left are really Daryl and
Carol.
Daryl and Carol, they're the last two.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's right.
No, they definitely are. I mean, Maggie, now that she's back, but even then, Maggie she popped up on the farm. So that was after season 1. So,
yeah,
I mean,
we talk about the RV people. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. And that's such a big deal. And that's why I'm excited that Carol and Daryl are kind of getting their own thing. The problem that I had with Walking Dead and kind of why I came off with it. Well, what I mean is maybe they can
50-50 on that. I'm like, yes, it's cool that they continue working as actors and they get their own thing.
Yeah.
Number 3, how long are you going to milk The Walking Dead?
Well, that and so it's funny. Universal's about that too. Like they actually pull in that so there's in Universal Studios Hollywood. There's like and I don't think it's in Orlando. There is a Walking Dead walkthrough like haunted house. It's been like inserted in. So they stopped that this year. They got rid of it. And so to me, it's kind of like zombie fatigue is real. Zombie fatigue for me has been real for about 2 years now, maybe even 3 years. It's hard to come up with something new. Like I think, did you ever see Train to Busan?
I see it's on Netflix. I haven't watched it.
It's good if you don't mind subtitles, and it's a zombie flick, so there's not a lot, but it's pretty dope. Like it's in the vein of 28 Weeks Later / Dawn of the Dead, the remake. So
I love 28 Weeks Later or Days Later. Even that's those movies are great.
Yeah, then
Cillian Murphy. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Nightmares.
And it's so good, and I loved I loved that was gritty, and so. But again, that was I think over two decades ago at this point. Maybe 15 years ago. But anyway, but you get the point. It's like zombie fatigue for everybody's kind of there. So I think Universal and then by proxy Walking Dead kind of realized that, okay, we kind of have to move forward with our best foot. And the reason why we came off it, me and Jessica, and we have been watching from the beginning, kind of like how you were, is there's too many characters. There's too many storylines and characters maybe I just didn't care about. I didn't really care about Sadiq's storyline. I liked
the only reason I care about him is that Carl died saving the
sure.
Which I was like, oh, cool. Make it work. And then next season.
Right. It just exactly. So, and that happened for me far too often. I think Enid was one of those. I mean, they had that JSS thing that was going on for forever that was kind of never resolved. There's a bunch of these things where these characters are just kind of introduced, and I think they were like stopgaps or fillers because I think the directors knew we have to like eat up 3 episodes because we've got maybe 5 really good ones, and we need kind of filler for 3 of them. So, but to your point, that's why I think that Ezekiel monologues for 2 episodes, and we spend so much time in kind of floundering in this universe. And for me, it got old, and I checked out a little bit after Negan got his neck cut. I kind of checked out after that.
Yeah.
So
that actually happened in the comics too. And
I remember.
I wish they had kept with the comics would have been Rick losing his hand.
Yeah.
Put that in. I understand it might have been a lot of CGI, but I'm sorry, you had a tiger for the longest time too, and a bunch of spoiler alert again if you haven't watched the finale, a bunch of walkers falling off a cliff in CGI.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
You have the budget, your AMC, you could have given a handicap reason on why he would maybe have to fight longer.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. I mean, in the comics, the Outpost, the last civilization, there's a huge statue of Rick with his hand in the arm in the air like this, with stump.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Carl visits it every once in a while, and he brings food to a house that he says the guy doesn't want to come out. He doesn't want to be part of this world anymore. It's Negan, basically. Negan.
Oh, no shit.
Carl goes back to visit him every once in a while, but Carl, he doesn't interact with anybody. He just lives in the house that he grew up in with his wife. There's like a grave outside that has Lucille. That's the only benefit of believing that's Negan and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish you know, there's a lot of things you can wish as a fan, but you know,
Sure.
you just enjoy what it is.
And
sometimes.
and you know, there were a couple of things that, like, for Gabriel, right? A lot of people thought that his death in the comics was iconic.
Oh yeah, I thought he was gonna die. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah.
I
And
also want to know who the new
I know.
freaking exes are. He's like, he's with me. I'm like, doesn't say anything, doesn't talk. I thought when I first saw that, like the last episode, like what, back in March or something like that, I honestly thought that was Morgan coming back.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's how he. But he's in Fear the Walking Dead. There's like a time
Yeah.
frame that doesn't make sense in my mind. I haven't been able to figure it out yet.
Yeah, and Fear the Walking Dead for me, I mean, I thought Nick was going to be the leader of the Whisperers because he found out that he could kind of walk, you know, amongst them, and I think that was pretty cool too. But yeah, the crossover event for Walking Dead, I think that they could do so much with that, and I do think that when they actually get to the point when, yeah, I think that people like Fear, like you, more than they do Walking Dead, because there's no indication that Fear's wrapping up anytime soon. So we'll have to see about that. But yeah, man, I think that
Dwight's my favorite.
is he really?
He's like, I see myself in him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with like the first like origin episode. I love how they gave those little origin episodes and stuff like that too. The fact that he actually is like the best shot.
Yeah.
He doesn't like shooting people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that he doesn't pick him up until like what's her name, June was in trouble and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
I love that actor. He's great. Loved him in Raising Hope and No Country for Old Men and stuff.
Oh, that's right. He was in that. Yeah.
The sheriff. Yeah. I just love his demeanor. It's different from other characters. There's not like a blend,
Sure.
you know, where not Dwight. Did I say Dwight? I did say Dwight, didn't I? Dwight's the one with the burn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean to say Dwight. What's the cowboy's name? I can't remember his name. John?
I don't know.
John?
I
think it's
want to
John.
say it is. Yeah. Okay. So I know. Yeah. I like
You know what
him.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
The humanity in him is so good. And I think that, yeah, because I thought that you're talking about
The heart of the show. He's the
Yeah.
heart of the show. He really is. His love relationship with June and stuff like that, always trying to find her and stuff. And
Yeah.
how he brings Morgan back to his humanity over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's such an important part of that. And I think they did such a great job casting that one. Then, okay, so going to tonight's finale. So were you all caught up? Did you know exactly what was happening and where everybody was? Yeah. It took me a while to do that. I was excited. I was nervous. You were?
Yeah, I caught up because Bruce likes watching the show. So when I'm working, when I have it on the TV, I'm watching it and he's just on the bed yelling at zombies. Like sitting, it's on my Instagram. You should watch the video.
I will, man. I'll have to do that. I got caught up, and then I was excited. I know that I hadn't actually sat through a premiere of Walking Dead in a while, but tell me, when you were when you first started watching it, what did you feel? Like, how did you, what were the emotions were kind of going? Because, in the end of these series, you always kind of figure at least a handful of really important people are going to die. I mean, that's the expectation. That doesn't always happen.
Every finale, yeah. You always think somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
The fan in me wanted somebody important to die.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're used to. That's what Walking Dead's kind of set us up as, Merle getting killed by the governor. Governor getting killed at the finale when they had to leave. You think Judith's dead and stuff like that too. Even if they didn't kill somebody, they should have left it like unknown, like a main character. Like maybe they're gone. We don't know where they're at. Like Carol getting separated in the court. I was like, oh shit, where's she going? Or the fact maybe Judith got away or something like that too. Or something happened to Daryl. We haven't seen Daryl really in any danger in a while.
Yeah, that kind of bothers me too. But I mean,
time was with Beta or
the
Whispers and stuff like that too when they were all coming in. Like when they killed Jesus, I was livid. I was so mad. about Jesus died because he lived for a long time. That actor put so much, because Jesus is supposed to be the best martial artist in the comics.
Mm.
The best. He doesn't use weapons really. He has knives if he needs them, but he uses his hands, his legs. He's very quick. And that actor put himself through training himself, jiu-jitsu, aikido, and all this other stuff, so he could play Jesus in case he needed to come in. Like, can you do this? Yes, I can do this. I'm prepared. I'm ready. And they didn't really give him that.
Yeah.
They didn't really give him that ability to do that. And then he died, and we're like, oh.
I remember him coming out and saying that a couple months after, maybe a couple weeks after it aired. But it's funny you bring that up. I thought the way they introduced the Whisperers, because that's when it was, when they killed Jesus, that was really clever. I thought that was like, oh shit.
I just wish it was Aaron.
Yeah, okay, that's my point. So like, just going back to what I'm saying, I feel like there's so many people that you could just like peel off, and yeah, they'll be like, oh, that sucks. But at the same time, it's like, we need to have that. We need to remember that the stakes are high here, and not everybody that we like are going to live, because right now there's like 30 of them.
Yeah, take out Jesus and Aaron, switch their roles in that episode.
Hmm.
Nothing really would change, because then Aaron just feels the shoes that Jesus was being filled, because they kind of horn-shoot him into this whole, I'm the heart of the hilltop. We have to do that. You could continue with that, and having Aaron die make Jesus boost up, and I have to leave, Which, like, that was the whole episode, was like, he has to be the leader now since Maggie left,
Yeah.
And Aaron died to these people. Now Jesus has a reason to move forward. Why?
Yeah.
Okay, it's cool. He's got like a mace for a hand. That's awesome. Just like Negan says, that's badass. But at the same time, why kill Jesus? Why do that? Why make Maggie come back at the end of this? And like, honestly, when she came back, I was like sitting next to Rachel. I'm like, oh gosh. She's like, why? I'm like, I want to see what happens when she meets Negan again.
Yeah.
And she's like, why? I'm like, because I'm pretty sure, and it's never really stated why she left, but unless it is, and I missed it, I'm pretty sure she left because she wouldn't let her kill him.
That's why I think it was too.
But then they didn't have any kind of freaking confrontation at the end in the woods, and I'm like, missed opportunity. Why?
Yeah.
The only thing was the black guy that kidnapped Michonne now has the deaf girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. We've already seen what he can do, and we really don't. I'm probably going to lose a lot of haters on your podcast for saying this. We really don't know too much about her like we do Maggie, Negan, or anything else. I mean, in a few episodes, not been built up to that sense. I'm sure she's got a following, and I like her as a character because she's deaf, and that's interesting. I love that mix, but it's not there yet,
No, I agree, and I think that's part of my issue with it. So now you have this character arc when you've got two people that you just don't really care about. I mean, you're just not invested in them. I mean, there's nothing, and that's just something that comes with time and whatnot. And I just don't, and that's my problem with it. So now I think next season it's gonna be Maggie, it'll be Negan, it'll be Carol, it'll be Daryl. Probably Lydia, because they've got the Lydia Carol thing going on right now too. But outside of that, I mean, maybe Eugene, I've kind of fallen off his, bandwagon, but honestly, I just need Carol, I need Daryl, I need Maggie, I need Negan, and now I need a little bit of Lydia, because I think that her dynamic with Carol can be an interesting one. But other than that, like, I don't take everybody else. That's just how I feel.
Okay, so one of the characters that is not like a main, but one of the characters that's close to my heart, that's my favorite, is Jerry.
Yeah.
Love Jerry.
Yeah, he's lovable. He's lovable.
He's awesome. He's like, he calls this king dude.
Yeah.
I love you. You're cool. I love him. Keep him going,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to die. If they put him, if one of these characters, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me, if one of these characters was at a cliffhanger point position where it's like they might die, they might do something like that, it would have made more of an impact. This show it was like, we've waited this long since COVID and stuff like that to bring this back. We're expecting this thing. I got let down with Beta. Kind of got let down with Maggie just a little bit. The fact she saved Gary Burrell wasn't really her; it was the other guy.
Yeah.
And, the only thing that they can say, "Oh, we did leave a cliffhanger. Oh, it's amazing." It's like, okay, so you had some storm arrest Ezekiel and everybody else. Okay, who are they? What the hell? Am I supposed to be really, really scared of that situation? It looks like they all have the same weapon. Where the hell did they come from?
Yeah.
Are they the people with Rick in this Rick movie that's supposed to be coming out? Obviously they had knife bayonets, and they all had freaking Heckler and Koch assault rifles.
Mm-hmm.
AR-15s and stuff, and they all had matching stuff. So obviously they have a place that can generate this kind of stuff. So what?
Right.
So they just threw all this information at you. You're like, hey, here you go, bye.
Yeah, and I think that's their way of kind of leading you into it. I think, again, I go back to them being the creative team at Walking Dead, realizing that they need to do something drastic because, and I think they've known that for a while because they announced that this was going to that the season that Rick was his last season. They told you exactly when that he would be off, and it was his last season. And how great would it have been just to see that? Like, why tell me about it? I'd let me experience it. Don't let me prepare for it. Just let me be in it. And so they did the same thing with Michonne. I knew exactly the episode Michonne was going to be off, and the one that, you know what I mean? It just, to me, it's like, why say that? I think the creative team was like, hey, hang on, stay with us because this is something that's really big coming down the pipeline. And it's just like, okay, well, that's not how it works. Just let me be in it. So I think that they're doing that here because I don't know. Is New World Order the last big bad in the Walking Dead comics? Is that kind of it? Because that's what they're alluding to. These people are, right? Is that
so? Have you read the comics?
Not. I've read them all. Everything up to New World Order. That's it. I have not read any of the New World Order storyline.
Are you? Because I'm going to pose a question to you real quick here. Well, first off, do you want me to spoil the comic for you?
I'm okay with it. I mean, I kind of, yeah.
So one of the deaths in the comics that I totally agreed with, honestly, was Rick's death in the comic because he does die in like the last 5 pages of the actual comic, you know, because then there's a whole time jump forward, like I was alluded to before. He finally pissed off somebody. I'm not gonna say who, just in case you do read it. And he finally lays down to bed to rest in the New World Order area, which is safe. It's the most safe place ever. There's not a walker within like 20 states. That's how safe it is, you know. And he lays down in bed, and the guy comes in with a silenced pistol and shoots him in the heart.
Yeah, I know how he gets shot. Like I know that part about it.
And Carl has to kill him just like he killed his mom, and so like I was hoping for that in the show, you know, because it's huge
to bring it full circle, right?
Bring it full circle.
Yeah,
he killed dad. His dad, when he comes in his room, his dad's a walker because he gets shot in the head. And the writer Kirkman said like the reason why Rick died there is because he finally let his guard down after like 15 years of this whole period. You know, raising, you know, Judith and Carl and also Judith actually dies in prison with Lori.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, the governor shoots him. The governor shoots her. Yeah.
With the tank and stuff. Carl and him are the only one that actually live. Carl does lose his eye in the comics and stuff like that too. Yeah. But he has to shoot his dad. And that was huge. And he's like, the reason why Rick died is because he finally was safe. The person from that world was no longer needed. So he put down his gun. It was over, and that's why he died. It was because he finally let his guard down, even though there was somebody out there in the compound that had a grudge with him. The guy that shot him and stuff. And my question to you is Andrew Lincoln coming back in this season? And part 2, if not, do you think his movie is supposed to take place between this season and the next season, with everybody coming back in the movie? Because it just says Andrew Lincoln movie. It doesn't say anybody else is in the movie with him.
Yeah.
So I'm still like not fully. I'm sure I'll watch it, but I'm not really excited about it.
Sure.
Know? Unless it was like those shows where it's like 11 seasons in a movie. You know, the movie's gonna wrap everything up or something like that. You know, like what Firefly did with Serenity and stuff.
Right. That's tough, man. Because honestly, I don't think the Andrew Lincoln movies are gonna get made. But I do see that if you were gonna play like Riddle Me This. If they are waiting to make them, or they can put them into production, knowing where their finale is going to take them, then they could take that handful of people. Whether it's not going to be Carol and Daryl because we know they have their show separately, but maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's Lydia. Who knows? Maybe we end up having a Rick and Negan kind of buddy movie with who knows? Maybe it's Maggie and Negan and Rick and. Imagine the friction there could be there, but I don't think they're going to make the Andrew Lincoln movies. I think they announced that when he left. I'm sure they signed a contract, but I mean, who knows?
Maybe they won't because, with that Michonne episode, we know that Rick's alive.
Yeah.
Like one of the characters knows he's alive. Judith knows her dad's alive because Michonne said he found stuff and he has that picture with Michonne and Judith drew him in there, or maybe it was Carl, I can't tell yet, with the thing that says Rick with
Yeah.
the Japanese writing, which I have no idea what that was. Hopefully somebody else can like interpret what that writing was next to the word Rick or something like that, you know?
Mhm.
She goes off on her own, which kind of, all I want to say is like this finale did not make me excited for the show, besides the fact that we know it's the last season.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I feel the same thing. Like if I knew that The Walking Dead wasn't ending next year, I really wouldn't have cared, to be honest with you. I would have just read about it tomorrow, or, you know, so no, I agree, man. I'm in the same boat you are. Honestly, I feel that when I was watching it, they did a great job with creating tension for me. Like,
Yes.
you know, I think they did a really, in building a spectacle. I think when they have the bird's eye shot and you can see all the zombies underneath them, I think the scale is, you know, creates this uncomfortability factor. And you know,
Beta says like,
yeah,
or like tighten the herd or something like that.
yeah, turn the herd. Yeah. And
I'm like, oh shit, somebody's gonna die, and then nothing happened from that really, except for one girl that was already a sanctuary. She was from the sanctuary with Negan, gets killed.
yeah,
I was kind of sad seeing somebody that actually did redeem herself. She wasn't with Negan. She didn't believe in that way of life anymore. Died. Yeah, it was depressing for that character.
sure.
But it wasn't for me as a fan watching. I was like, oh, Carol. Oh,
See,
oh, yeah.
yeah, that she was a device for Carol. I think that was more about her dying shows you where Carol's at. Like, that to me was what that was for. And I mean, that's a disservice to the actor and that character. But honestly, again, you know, you care. Everybody cares about Carol. Like, that's just kind of how it goes, you know. And I think she's been in some of the most seminal episodes of Walking Dead, for me at least. Like when she shoots Lizzie, The Grove. That to me is the best episode of Walking Dead I've ever seen. Yeah, Look at the Flowers. Yeah, and not to be confused, there's actually an episode called Look at the Flowers, but this one's called The Grove. I don't make it.
What was that? Look at the Flowers. Nothing really happened from that. I was like expecting some Carol to do something like.
Exactly.
Carol, in my opinion, has been badass since, and like I said, one of the biggest things that was my favorite was Terminus.
Yeah. Oh, she was so good in Terminus. Yeah.
She was the first person that used the walkers to infiltrate a spot. And also a little nod back to my friends from Overwatch. You, my friend, were the first person that put masks on people. So
yeah, that was a good part of it too. And you know, and
also used zombies to infiltrate a place. So
which, I mean, hey, I would totally do that. That sounds like if
you were ahead of your time, Chris.
When they talk about destabilizing a society, that's how I would do it. And you know, the thing about Carol's character is that she's vulnerable, like on so many levels, right? She's so conflicted, and that's my problem with Daryl. Like Daryl to me is, you mentioned it, we haven't seen Daryl in Big. And do you ever really think he's going to die? Like, is there ever a point when you're like, fuck, this might be where they're killed Daryl off, or this might be the point where he loses an arm or loses an eye, or part of him is gone in the way that we've known him since, you know, episode 2 of Walking Dead.
Not honestly for Daryl being in danger, like serious danger. When Michonne and him got taken by that crazy episode with the kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, Rachel and I watched. I'm like, this is nuts. I'm like, yeah, it's nuts to watch this, but also as an actor, think about what trauma those kids went through.
Yeah.
To play those characters. Like, think about it. They're like maybe like 11. They don't look that old unless like they are like 14, but they're tiny. You know? They're like branding people, and they have to kill. Yeah, you have to kill. I mean, one kid's like stabbing at Michonne's belly. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that was the most heart-wrenching episode this season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just watching that and going through that, even though it was a flashback. You know, we knew that she was okay. She had RJ.
Sure.
But she in the moment, like, what the hell? You know, that was probably the most shocking thing this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And Michonne was a big deal too. Like, honestly, her leaving was a big deal. But I think, to me, Rick leaving was the biggest deal. I mean, I don't want to. I liked how they sent him off. I thought for sure he was going to die. I think I would have appreciated a little bit more if he would have died in the gravitas of everything he's gone through, and then for him to kind of die in that world, not to be helicoptered out. You know,
we're going to discuss that episode. I am in complete agreement for him to go out like saying, I found them.
Oh yeah, that's great, isn't it?
That just like, I was like,
yeah. And then they're running to the bridge, right? Like you have these great.
Daryl shooting the arrows all the way over there, like,
yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, because they were brothers, man. Every single time Daryl and Rick, you and I would we would talk about this all
Yeah.
the time. Like, they're brothers, man. Every single time they're in a scrap with somebody, they're all going to come out on top because they each get each other's back. Ever since
Yeah.
Terminus, they were like that. And then like when he bit that guy's throat out, like I
Yeah.
missed those things. And I always, one of the things I love about Daryl is he always found interesting ways to kill the walkers or
Mhm.
to kill somebody. He was always like, I'm gonna grab this icicle, like that last episode, stab
Yeah.
him on the head, or I'm tearing this guy's head out of his body and smashing it with the skull, and that kind of stuff. Daryl always brought that awesome part to me.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, no, it's been a while since I felt like Norman Reedus was in any danger in the show,
Mhm.
and now that he's getting a spinoff with Carol, it's not going to happen next
I
season.
know.
Actually. So there's like those two characters. We're like, okay, why release that ahead of the season? We're like, okay, those characters are going to be fine.
Yeah.
Might disappear 5 episodes in, like Michonne, Maggie, or somebody else, but we know they're okay because they got their own show coming around.
It's true. It's true. And yeah. So now we know the stakes for them, as long as it wasn't, a red herring. Yeah. We don't care because they're safe. They're basically
Well, I
bulletproof at this
agree.
point.
One of the biggest letdowns in this episode was Beta. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was really easy for them to take him out.
Yeah. That was disappointing.
Number one thing I wanted from this episode, I wanted Negan and Beta go at it.
Mhm.
It would have been awesome if he was fighting Beta in defense of one of the Alexandria people to put him kind of back in their way of being a good person,
Mm.
Now what else he's going to do? He's like, okay, Lydia, you and I are going to be here, but nobody's ever going to trust us anymore. She's like, yeah. I'm like, bullshit. Carol trusts her, and Carol will go to bat for her every fucking time now. So it's really not Lydia and Negan anymore. Negan's just the odd man out.
Well, maybe that's what and there could be something to that too. Maybe he understands that, and especially now with Maggie. I mean, maybe the big conflict will be Maggie and Negan more than anything else.
I wanted that so bad. Nothing came from it at all.
Well,
They just left it
Not
there.
yet, because they didn't see, right? Unless I missed it, they didn't actually see each other in the forest. I know Maggie was in the complex, and then Negan was in the forest. So there hasn't been.
They were back. She was standing. Negan was standing right behind Judith. When Judith went up to hug Maggie, she walked right up. I'm like, she's gonna stand up from this hug.
Oh no shit!
I was like, no, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Oh God, it's gonna happen. And then Rachel just pans to something else with the girl coming out of the woods. Like, I'm all covered in dust, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Did you get blown out of the hole with the dynamite? Where's the physics in this? How'd you just show up and then pass out again?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Maybe I'm sure we'll get something from Negan and from Maggie. We have to at this point. We definitely have to.
It's a
So-
6 out of 10 in my book for this episode, man.
Is it really? So that's your ranking, 6 out of 10?
Yeah, that's what I would rank it. I mean, I don't know how you guys do rank.
No, that's fine. We'll take your 6 out of 10. That's good enough for us.
I'll take 6 out of 10 whisper masks. How about that?
So I like that. 6 out of 10 skin masks. We'll take it. What in your opinion? So what was the best part? Give me the 2 best parts in your opinion about this series finale or season finale.
Lydia calling out the whispers, like Guy and Brown, and they're like shooting them, and the walkers are like attacking them. And Beta just like seeing it happen. That was awesome.
That was dope.
I love that. I love the inclusion of Princess. She makes me laugh again finally in the show. Somebody kooky that's kind of there but not really there, kind of thing. How they've like lost that with Ezekiel, because Ezekiel was always like the king to everybody else, but he's like, bro, come on, level with me, bro. Like when he's talking stuff like that, and goes back to his regular cadence and stuff. Gabriel finally making the I'm gonna stand, you guys leave play. He's never done that before. I mean, he went back for what's his face from Hilltop when Negan and him had that episode together when he lost his eye. But that was Gabriel's chance, and finally he was like, no, I got the shotgun, I got this, Everybody else, I need to make sure they don't cut the rope or go down the rope, or whatever he said.
Yeah,
But,
that was good.
That was good. I love watching Daryl fight. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Just wish Beta had fought Negan. Negan had done it.
Is that the biggest?
You know who that asshole? You know who that asshole was? Yeah, buddy.
He's nobody. What's the most disappointing other than the Beta conflict, lack of conflict, I should say? What was the most disappointing thing for you in this finale?
I could say I could beat the Walker over the head with a baseball bat if I wanted to, but no confrontation between Maggie and Negan. I really wanted
Yeah.
to see that. Since I knew she was coming back when that trailer released, I don't know, a couple months ago or something like that, showing that she was coming back, and they released that she was coming back to the show.
Hmm.
I was like, cool. Negan's still alive. They're all in one spot. I'm waiting for Maggie and Negan confrontation.
Right.
She's got this assassin that doesn't say anything. That's got like a hockey mask and these weird axes and shit, which is awesome. But thanks for the of nothing from him. You know,
Yeah.
we could have done so much more with them. I mean, maybe they couldn't. I mean, maybe I'm bashing them too hard because of COVID. Maybe this is all they could do in these last couple of months to wrap it up. Maybe this is what crew they could give us, you know.
Yeah.
To make an example, one of my favorite shows is The Blacklist. In the
Mhm.
last episode, New York went through the very beginning of the COVID issue, that they had the huge blowout in New York when New York was a hot zone.
Mhm.
But fans, not just editors from the show, fans, like people like you and me, wrote them and said, hey, here's a way we can finish the show. And like every other scene, it was like watching, did you ever play that one game, almost like Grand Theft Auto? It was like a detective one where they had the facial stuff. LA Noire or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like every other scene was like Red walking. It was like a video game Red walking around, and that's how they edited it.
Interesting.
And they sent a microphone to all the actors who were in quarantine, like James Spader and all these other actors and stuff like that too, with the microphone, who audio recorded their own dialogue.
Hmm.
Dialogue, if you watch the episode, it's crazy. Each dialogue is like a different cadence. Sometimes it's louder, sometimes it's cleaner, sometimes it's not as good, and stuff like that. But they were able to send it in to the people like you and me that just put this episode together to end the season.
Interesting. I love that. That's great.
It just shows that, you know, people that are fans of the show and people that watch these shows and stuff like that too are still going to be there even through these tough times. Like,
Sure.
all people band together and stuff like that too. So maybe this is the same situation with Walking Dead. Maybe they weren't able to do everything that they could, you know, to give us what they wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe I am hitting the nail on the head. Maybe I'm not. You know?
No, I mean, I think it's true. I think that you're right. It is difficult. I know that COVID didn't interrupt their filming, so that's why it was so much later. And you know, Walking Dead's such a close quarters show. I mean, all film. You've been on set. You know, everything you ever do. Once you're on set, you're in close quarters. I mean, as soon as you drive to set and get out of your car, you're in close quarters. So, you know, I would imagine when you have extras like The Walking Dead and the makeup crew, and then there's just so many hands involved with that. It would be a difficult show. I mean, of course, outside of the very end, when we have the chick who's been, you know, the deaf chick who's been blasted and she finds the other dude, I think you could probably get away with that in quarantine, but there's a lot of other stuff you wouldn't be able to do. So, but I think that's really ingenious about Blacklist. I think that's really, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
It's the first time that something like that's ever happened before. And like I said, it wasn't just editors from the show, like in the studio. It was people like you and me with their laptops putting this stuff together and doing
That's
motion
badass.
capture. And again, they didn't have these actors with these motion capture screens. This is them putting it together themselves.
Yeah.
Even if you don't watch the show, pull up the last episode on Netflix of this last season and just watch it. It's wild to see. You know?
Yeah, that's fucking
It's not
crazy.
amazing. It's not, when I watched it, I was like, oh man, I wish I could have seen the whole thing. I mean, thank you for at least finishing it. That was thank you. That was at least something cool that we were able to get a wrap up.
Yeah.
Halfway filming finale in New York when the hotspot happened and they had to shut everything down.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, there's even like a behind the scenes thing showing people like crew getting the notice to leave set, like the people dropping it.
Oh, no shit. Really?
And then it shows some people wearing masks and stuff like that too, and James Spader like being ushered off with his assistants and stuff like that as well. And you know, I was honestly, while I was watching this episode tonight of Walking Dead, I was like looking at all the walkers and stuff. I'm like, all right, if anybody's gonna be wearing a mask, it's gonna be the Whisperers. Let's see if we can see a mask underneath the mask.
I know, right? Hey man, I believe it. I think that for me, you nailed it. One of the cooler parts when I saw it, I'm like, holy shit, that was cool. When Lydia's calling out the Whisperers, like Overwatch, you know, like, hey, I got one here, a guy in the brown shirt. That was fucking cool. I'm like, that was cool. They're a very like, and I really enjoy the way that you know, you put yourself in a zombie scape and like, how do you problem solve? I think that's what people find the most interesting about these post-apocalyptic films and series. And so this is a great problem solving way. Hey, how do we Overwatch these people? And then we've got someone scouting, calling it out. And then, you know, we've got bows on there. And I think that was pretty cool. That was really fucking cool. I like that a lot. And I don't want to jump on your bandwagon about the lack of Beta Negan fight. But for me, that was the biggest thing. I was ready for a fight. I'm like, okay, dope. How is this going to happen? They're surrounded by walkers. Negan knows that Beta's there. Beta knows that Negan's there. The fight has started. Show me something, like take me on this journey. You solve this problem for me by having them roll somewhere, get into water. I don't know, but you take me on that journey. And then it wasn't.
Just take us outside of like this 10-foot area. Like take the fight somewhere. Like
figure it out.
Sees him. He knows he killed Alpha, obviously. So
right.
And he just like barrels through all these walkers. And I think he even hit like one of his own whispers out of the way too at one point.
Mm-hmm.
That was hilarious. I'm like, oh wow, here he goes. And it was over like that. I was like, I honestly want to watch it again. Just like, I'm like, he's pulling the knives out. Is it going to continue? No. He's just thinking that he's being uplifted by his followers, but they're actually tearing him apart. And we really didn't even see them tear him apart, which I was like, okay. You showed all this other gory stuff with people's rib cages being open.
Yeah.
And you see OP just go like that. And I'm sitting there like,
yeah. What was that?
Pass me the hookah. I need to smoke.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. It's whatever. It's one of the biggest antagonists physically and also with this whole army. Couldn't give me anything over that. All right, whatever. Okay, let's see what Carol's doing. Okay, nothing happened there.
Right.
I can see Lydia wanting her to be like the surrogate, but not really the surrogate mom.
Sure.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. Maggie and Negan.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to save that for next. They're going to have to save that for next season because they're going to have some type of conflict that leads up to the New World Order. So, and this is Walking Dead staying on brand. They want to have a solid secondary storyline, which will be Negan and Maggie, and then it'll roll into their New World Order storyline, which is the big overarching one. But,
for example, like Fear the Walking Dead, it's already touched more on the New World Order than Walking Dead itself has.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this last episode with the helicopters and stuff. It's
Yeah.
simple. There was like 4 episodes of them meeting people like that,
Yeah.
And I remember watching it with Rachel because I watched the whole season with Morgan. And then when the next season came out on Hulu, which is weird because it's not on Netflix, but this one is. I don't understand how that works.
The one with the hurricane, was it the hurricane or that one?
I watched the whole episode with a girl that was like, nobody helped me. I'm going to make you strong because nobody's going to help you.
Yeah.
That was an awesome antagonist for that show. Loved that antagonist itself. She was just like an idea that just kept facilitating itself and continuing,
Sure.
With that. I was like, Rachel, you need to watch this. I know you don't we're not big fans of Walking Dead right now, but you need to watch Fear the Walking Dead with me. It's not like it used to be. They put Morgan into it. It's got more heart. It's got more drive than the last season did and stuff like that too. Let's watch it. She watched now. I skipped from when they went to Mexico, didn't watch the other stuff, saw interviews, watched like trailers and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, good. I didn't waste my time. Whatever. I had to watch. Then I just picked up with Morgan and moved on from there.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Did you see the episode when the mom died? I can't think of her mom's name right now because I think it was in Mexico. I'm almost sure of it, but a lot that I can't think. Kim.
You mean the blonde chick that?
Lisa's one.
That's in the season with Morgan because they're trying to find her supposedly or something like that too.
Yeah.
Especially the girl that's in the SWAT truck and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah.
She leads the walkers into the baseball stadium.
Yeah, stadium.
Yeah, that was a crazy ending.
Yeah. I wish they would have kept her around a little bit longer. I like her as an actress, but she's a strong actress. She's almost like a solid A-lister in Hollywood. So, and it's hard, right? Like it would be hard to. I mean, you had touched on it in the very beginning. I mean, Andrew Lincoln, he's basically been Rick Grimes. So he's probably going to get typecast as Rick Grimes for the rest of his working career, which isn't a bad thing. But I mean, it's like you're a big Entourage guy. It's like Vinny Chase when he turns down, I don't want to play Superman or Aquaman because I don't want to be typecast for the next 4 or 5 years of my life. And then Ari's
get Jake Gyllenhaal to do it.
Yeah, broke back fucking Aquaman. Yeah, that's yeah. Ari says that, not me, people. Just so you know, like
Corey does say that. I love
He
that.
does. Yeah, I was.
I love the old,
That's like my favorite window of Entourage. I think season 2, 3, and 4 because you've got Aquaman. I love season 2. Season 2 is my favorite, and then the success of Aquaman
Ari-
3.
Ari becomes more of like a main character.
Yeah, exactly. And then in season 4 when they have that down before he gets Gatsby and he's unemployable, and I love see him fail. But I could talk about Entourage all fucking day, like I'm sure you can too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but no, Matt.
Anything, I don't remember Andrew Lincoln in anything besides Walking Dead and Love Actually.
Not me neither.
Love Actually was the first movie I ever saw him in, and then he got this American role, and he hid his British. I never once caught a British accent because he's British.
Yeah.
And I remember going out, and it's funny. I remember going out to LA on my 25th birthday with my buddies Amir and Josh.
Mhm.
Hooked up with Adam Gold out in LA and stuff, and we were at a bar, and we go outside. We're drunk idiots, like with shopping. There's a shopping cart story and stuff like that too. But I actually ran into him
Andrew Lincoln.
on my birthday. He was in LA with his girlfriend at the time, and
Get the fuck out of here, really?
walking on the sidewalk. Yeah, and I'm saying this because I don't remember because I was blackout.
Yeah.
But Amir woke me up the next day. He's like, dude, can you believe Andrew Lincoln? I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, we talked to Andrew Lincoln for like a good 10 minutes, but we didn't want to wait because he was on his way out and stuff like that too. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't have that in my memory. And Josh is like, I'm not even a big fan of Walking Dead, but that was even cool. It was Santa Barbara or something like that. It was somewhere in LA.
Yeah. Dude, I had no idea. I've known you for almost 7 or 8 years, and this is the first time I've heard this story. That's fucking awesome. That's really cool, man.
A lot of these actors are great people, and like for example, one of my favorite characters, and you'll know this, is Shane. I've always been a fan of Shane. I've always even thought about one of the questions anybody asks me. I'm like, when we talk, I'm like, what would Shane do in the situation? What if he was still around and stuff like that? Would they even be in the situation?
Yeah, I love asking that question. Yeah.
And I love the fact that they brought the actor back to do that scene in the
car. Yeah.
With him, because I met John Berthnall.
You did?
At Comic-Con. Yeah.
What? I didn't know that. Is he a big dude? I hear he's a big dude, like a swole guy.
He's. I sat next to his wife and his baby and his kids and stuff like that in the thing. And I was one of the first people. There's the video on YouTube. I'm one of the first people that stands up and asks him a question and stuff like that about what he does to get into character. Because I know that when he was playing Punisher, he would walk the Brooklyn Bridge in New York in character to get himself ready for a scene every single time they went to go do a scene.
Oh, really?
Every single day they went to a shoot, he would like walk on set off that in character and stuff like that to get into it and stuff. And he's a sweet dude. He's such a sweet guy and stuff. I was there with Rachel up in Phoenix when we went and saw him.
No shit. That's crazy. John Bernthal seems such like a fiery dude. I mean, of course, I only know him from his roles.
Short, but he's like a lovable guy. He's like nothing like his characters at all.
That's so cool. I love that.
He always says like, thank you for asking that. Thank you for coming out and saying hi.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great.
Yeah. I mean, especially with his success with Punisher. I mean, honestly, now Marvel's talking about bringing him into the fold as Punisher for the MCU, which is great. That's awesome.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah, man.
Last scene of Punisher, he went all out, dude. He actually broke his wrist the first day of filming. That's why he has the cast on.
I didn't know that.
The whole season, there was a stunt with the actual stunt coordinator that he was doing in the bar fight scene, like the first episode when he's in the bar with the belt.
Yeah, with the girl too, right? Yeah.
With the girls. Right after he fights the girls in the bathroom, which is probably one of the best fights I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the dance floor, and there's a scene, and you can see it. It's actually in the shot. They like kept it in the film. When somebody slams something down, he grabs the shotgun, turns it around, hits somebody, and then picks up a bar stool to slam it on somebody. Somebody hits him, and he hits the table, and it breaks his left wrist.
Oh my God. No way.
So his right wrist. I'm sorry, his right wrist was broken. That's why it was in the cast throughout the whole rest of the thing.
That's crazy. No, man, I love Shane. I think that Shane is, and again, Shane and the Governor are the two most personalities that I think I would gravitate towards. And I say that lovingly too, right? Because both those guys are just wanting to protect their own. And I think that the scene that you're talking about, the one when it's on Rick's last episode, and they're talking about it, and Shane asks him, "How's my baby?" Yeah, it's like she's got your nose or something like that.
Yeah. I like
Uh,
how Andrew, like how Rick like actually owns up to it in that too. In that
Yeah.
moment, he's like,
Yeah.
you got your nose. He's like, no, I hope not.
yeah, and that was so cool. Like, because until then we all kind of knew, but it hadn't been confirmed by anybody. So yeah, I think that the fact that Rick comes out with it and he says he knows.
I didn't even know he was in the episode. Honestly, I was like watching it on my couch, and all of a sudden he comes up, oh,
Yeah.
Shane.
Wasn't that great though? Like how so that's when the Walking Dead doesn't fuck you. So oh yeah, tune in 2 weeks and you'll see John Bernthal reprise his role as Shane. It's like that's great. You know, we don't need to know that fucking
Like, under the lid and stuff like that, because there's a bunch of, like, for example, Abraham Kudlitz. I can't remember his first.
Yeah, Michael Kudlitz.
He directed like 3 episodes this season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you watch the season's 10, like it'll say directed by Michael Kudlitz, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, look at him.
Yeah.
It's the redheaded firecracker
They-
coming to direct.
They love him. Like he loves being part of Walking Dead too. Like I guess you've seen how they've announced a couple one-offs, and so he's going to be in a couple one-offs too. They've already kind of got pictures of him. So I've only seen pictures of him in it, so I don't know if it's going to be like some type of linking between different people, but it's a one-off, right? So you have one episode and it kind of moves on. So. But I know that's probably what Walking Dead creators want to do, so they can kind of bring back some of the fan favorites in kind of basically a farewell tour, right? Because that's what next year is going to be. It's going to be a farewell tour.
Yeah, it is.
Dude.
What I'm hoping is next season they don't do a lot of fan service stuff like what they did with Game of Thrones last season. Go a whole another 2 hours of talking about that too, but that's for not for now. But my question, I'm sure that I don't know how long you want these podcasts to run, but to like kind of end this episode, I guess.
Yeah.
My question is just 2 things. What do you hope to happen or come about in the next season, and what do you not want to hope to?
Gotcha. Thank you for asking that. I would say what I don't
put you on a spotlight. I didn't know if that was your question.
No, it's all good, because that's kind of how I'm going to ask the same thing too. Like, because it's important to know where you want it to go and where you hope it doesn't go, because then it kind of sets your expectations and things like that. So what I don't want to see,
I'm gonna sit down like this.
Yeah. I don't want to see a romantic relationship between Carol and Daryl. I don't want to see that. I think that, I know they're kind of leaning into that. I think they are too. I don't really want to see that. I think that they have such great conflicts, and I think that it would be great just to kind of keep them platonic. And I think I don't want to see them in a relationship. What I would like to see is a Maggie Negan kind of split everything down the middle and kind of go from there. Because I mean, the last time that we saw Maggie, you're right, she left because they decided to not kill Negan. Like that was the
last episode was like he cuts her throat and then she's like in another hilltop scene and that was it, right?
Yeah, she was in it. Her last episode was also Rick's last episode, I think, and so. And it was extremely unceremonious too. I remember people saying that they didn't even know that it was her last day or her last scene. It was, because she had this new show coming out, and I mean, Lauren Cohen's a star. She hasn't found her footing yet, I think, but she's beautiful. She's talented. She's got everything going for her. And because Whiskey Cavalier didn't work out on fucking ABC, doesn't mean something else, will come down the pipeline for her, which I'm sure it will. But honestly, I would love to see a Negan, because people like Negan now, right? I mean, we remember, and it was like 3 years ago, everybody hated Negan. Like people were saying
I loved to hate him.
Well, right, but that's the idea, right? So it's kind of like Joffrey, right? He was a great bad guy. It's bad, but you hated him, and that's what made it great, right?
I like it all.
Okay, but a lot of people, but you didn't like him, and that's a tribute to that.
Ramsey, liked him at some points, but other times I'm like, I hate him.
Or okay. Sure, or Cersei, right? Cersei at some point, and even fucking Jamie. So at some points you hated Jamie. Like the first season, you probably hated Jamie. So
my favorite character.
Well, but was he your favorite character in the beginning? No, he fucking wasn't. You're lying. No, he wasn't. He was everybody's favorite character towards like season 3 or 4.
Nope, I loved him from the very beginning.
No, you didn't. You're lying.
He's gonna redeem himself. I'm watching him. He's gonna be a good person to watch. I wanted him to pretty much live it to the end. My whole theory, I could go into it like for another 2 hours. Let's have another podcast about that. Or I can forward you to my YouTube 3-hour episode of just me talking for 3 hours about that last finale.
Just the rant.
Dude, I had like 15 people here. I had my brothers here. I had my wife, my fiance at the time, and Josh, Brianna, my buddy Robert, Michael Rodriguez, Jeremy, Jack, their girlfriends at the time as well too. 15 people in my house watching this episode. We all, throughout the time period, have written a kill list on who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to turn to Walker. And we all put like $20 in. At the end of the episode, I wasn't even smoking. I was like, I threw the remote at the end. I was like, I'm done. I can't. I'm not even doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm sure a bunch of people kind of felt that way.
To answer your question, is what I don't want.
Really? A Negan Maggie face-off?
No, I don't want what they did with Game of Thrones, where it's
okay.
It's a bunch of fan service, where it's like, I can't see what's going on because the episode's too dark. I don't want like you're going to kill people or not kill people or put people through situations like you did in the last seasons where it's like this huge thing and all of a sudden, no, they're fine. They're walking around town. They're just walking down the road. They found a horse, by the way, because there's horses every place.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I don't want. I don't want to sit at the end of the episode like it's been 11 and a half years in the making. One of the longest shows since it's not Supernatural is a long show because it's the last season's 15, and I've watched that since the very first season itself as well when I was in high school. And I don't want Walking Dead to leave me with a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it's hard though, right? Because I mean, same thing with Game of Thrones. Like you set this huge expectation of it. Although Walking Dead's finales are nowhere near as good as Game of Thrones finales. Like there's the Penny Ultimate episodes for every season have always been pretty good. I mean, going from Blackwater, that's when it started for me. And then they always had a big battle. And for me, I mean, Walking Dead, it was kind of you're on the highway at 65. Maybe you got to pass a car at 75, but that's it. For Game of Thrones, it's like, you know, you're pushing 105 for a couple episodes. And I just feel like Walking Dead just kind of trods into things. And I think that's the biggest problem with it. But I will say, I do think that conflict between characters you like is really, and that's what I think that game did best for itself. I mean, the first time when we saw Daenerys and we had Jaime, and it was the Money Train or the Loot Train episode, I forget what it was called. And you had, okay.
When Jaime's about to try and kill.
Yes.
Yes.
And so at that point, you had people that you both cared about warring. And I think that within that conflict is the greatest thing you can accomplish in anything, in books and film and whatever. And I think that if they, exactly, right. And I think that at this point, inherently we'll root for Maggie, but also we want to root for Negan at this point. So I think that we could create that. And I hope they do create that type of conflict between those two characters.
There's a show that Rachel and I just watched that did that perfectly. And I can't remember what it's going to come to me. I'll remind you. I'll have to tell you to watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah.
There's a show where every single character, no matter what it is, bad, good, gray, white, black, you know, on either side of the spectrum, either protagonist or antagonist.
Yeah.
You are rooting for every single one. Every single story is different. You're not expecting them to come out of the blue. You're hoping for the best for every. How to Get Away with Murder. That was it.
Okay.
One of the best, well-written shows I've watched in a long time.
Really?
Yep. Yep. I studied criminal justice when I was in college, and it's kind of one of the reasons why I like those kind of shows. It's told from like it's a bunch of
law
students.
Yeah.
Law students. Yeah. And they're in this class and in the school, and all this stuff happens, and there's like a bunch of flashbacks and stuff like that too. But it always keeps you guessing. Rachel and I could sometimes figure this stuff out because it's like almost like I'm watching a thriller, noir, mystery kind of show. But every single character has got its own like interweavings with others and stuff like that too. You're like, this guy's bad, but I want to see what he's going to do with this person and stuff like that too. It's like, it's like watching The Wire again. Way back in the day.
Dude, I never saw The Wire, but I hear it's the greatest show on TV. I know. It's just I have a hard.
HBO's trademark, man.
I know. I just have a hard time going back to shows that are really dated. And I guess I don't know if it would be or not, but I know it's over a decade old because fucking The Sopranos is almost 15, 20 years old now.
It's old. We watched it, I think, a year ago. All like I don't know how many seasons, 5 or 6 or something like that. It's a long show. But we were watching. We were in this cop. We were in this cop. We get into these kind of like cop or like certain genre binge watchers. Where we find shows like this. Right now, we're in this British thriller watching shows right now. Like this, there's this show on Netflix called Safe, which has got the guy who played Michael C. Hall, who played Dexter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's using his accent because he's British too. Apparently, he's got this British accent.
Is he really? Is he British? No, wait, I would never known that.
Australian or British? I can't remember which one it is. You never can tell these days with these actors. Apparently, they're not United States Americans anymore. They're all British and Canadian and New Zealand and all this other stuff. But anyway, that one's great. Another good show for like plot development, character development that I feel like The Walking Dead should get into their next season if they're bringing in this whole new world order people. Because I was looking for the fucking markings, but all I saw was a weird stormtrooper red stripe stuff, whatever. But one of the things that they should do is look at, like, you have all these characters now. Don't make them all good.
Yeah.
Don't make all the Alexander people good. Don't make all the Hilltop. Don't make them bad where it's like, I want to kill you. But give them a different drive.
Right, the motivations.
So we all have to survive. That's one of the things about Walking Dead that was so good that they lost, was the fact that now everybody's together. There's nobody like having to try and figure out how to, I want to keep my daughter safe. That was one of the reasons why Rick was so good. He's like, I want to keep my family safe, but now this is my family. Now I'm going to make you family. Now we're all family. Let's all sing kumbaya. No. Rick was Rick when he was out there. When he was doing stuff, when he had somebody to fight. That was what made Rick Rick. So now give other people drives. This is the thing I want from Walking Dead, to do that. Watch those shows. Watch Broadchurch for me, the British version of Broadchurch on Netflix. It's got David Tennant is one of the main characters. I don't know if you watched. Did you watch Jesse Jones?
I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best character driven shows I've seen. Watch that stuff. Watch those things, and you'll see what I mean. Where you're like, I want to know more about this person. I want to know more about this person. I want to see what they're going to do. I'm watching this. Even though the main characters are in this, I'm watching these B characters. I'm still hooked in this scene.
Interesting.
Dialogue and stuff like that. That's what Walking Dead's missing. That's what I want them to bring back.
Well, hopefully they will.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my hope for this next season.
Me too.
Make it, boost it up. It's not all about the Hilltop and everybody else doing their own thing now together. Make it okay. Nobody's in Hilltop. Nobody's in Alexandria. Where are they going to go? They're all outside, right?
Right.
So now you have the perfect foundation to build off of, where it's like, we should do this, we should do that. No, we're gonna listen to Michonne. Well, Michonne's not here. No, we're gonna listen to Daryl. Daryl doesn't make decisions. Well, we can't listen to Negan. Who are we gonna listen to? Maggie?
Maybe. Yeah.
You know? That's my hope for the show.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, it'll be exciting. I know we're not going to get it for a fucking while, but it'll be great to kind of see what news comes out of it and go from there. But no, honestly, Nate, this has been great, man. Thank you very much. Let's do one for Fear. Because honestly, with Fear kind of
start up again
tonight. I think it started tonight.
I thought that was the new one with the kids.
Oh yeah, the Brave New World or whatever. Which maybe it's later. I know it's this month. I'm pretty sure it's this month.
Here, hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. You're back October 11th next weekend.
Okay, cool. Well, let's set it. Let's do one for Fear, because I'd love to get you're really knowledgeable on this shit, and I'd love to have, pick your brain about what's going on with that too. Since we're going to be obviously TWD's on hiatus for probably at least 8 months, and then
they said February 2021, which I'm going to say.
Oh Jesus, really?
Yeah, if they can't even film right now,
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. We used to. I miss the days where it's like a December episode, like a week before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's how they're gonna leave us. Oh, mother.
I know.
I miss. I'm down, dude. I'll watch the next episode. I'm excited for Fear.
Hell yeah. Me too.
I'm down.
Too. All right, let's do it. Well, dude, honestly, it's been great. Thank you. And is there anything else about the episode that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? Anything that, I know we've kind of talked about Beta and Daryl to death. We've talked about, what they did into and whatnot. So is there anything we haven't kind of gone over that you want to talk about?
Not really, man. I think we covered everything because the only really thing that we were left with that we have no information on is what happened to be Ezekiel, Eugene, and Princess, and I can't remember the other girl's name. It's not Amara. I think it's something else.
No, I don't know her. I don't know her name.
Or something like that. But
No.
yeah, that's the only thing I could think of that
Oh, yeah.
I really have nothing else to say because we really don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Showing up with the axe wielding person, like I was hoping to hear more about who she was with instead of going, "Hi, saved your life. I'm back."
Right. I know.
Pretty much the what we got from her, you know.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And I do, obviously we'll get a lot of those answers like in 2021, but you know, we'll let's dive into Fear. Let's get it on next week. And again, dude, thank you so much for coming for staying on late with me and talking about it. And I'm just so glad to have someone to talk to this about, because I mean, even if it ends on a low note, I still want to be able to witness it. You know what I mean? It's a big deal in our lifetime. There are things that kind of happen, and Game of Thrones is one of them. Walking Dead will be another. You know, it's
if it gives me a bad taste, if Walking Dead season 11 ends, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm probably going to pour myself some whiskey, I'll probably smoke some hookah, and I'm jumping on zombies on and I'm taking them out. Like, I'm like, we better get on this. Get on Xbox. Get on PS4.
right.
Get online right now because we're killing some zombies.
Right. We'll get our live stream up, and we'll make it work. We'll make it work. All right, brother. Hey, well, I appreciate you. Again, thank you so much, Nate. I'm going to wrap up this call. And so really for Chris Carter, Scripts and Screams, and my buddy, Nathan Miller, thank you very much, guys. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
See you guys.